Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Digital Classroom. I'm waiting to see if all the streams start, so let me see. We are broadcasting this today on YouTube and Twitch. So let me see, YouTube is starting up, awesome. Let's see if Twitch, also awesome. So everything works. Welcome to another episode of Digital Classroom. And this is the first time ever we do it on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. So if something goes wrong, it's the fault of the software, not my fault. Let's start with Digital Classroom, guys. Okay, and welcome to another episode of Digital Classroom. Now, what is Digital Classroom? In case you just tuned in, Digital Classroom is a project that I wanted to do for years and years. It's actually for me the perfect way to teach. For the very simple reason, normally of course I teach twice a week in our studio in Emmeloord. Those are the workshops, and of course during this period we don't do a lot of workshops. But that's always, you have to come to our studio to do the workshop, which in my opinion is still the best, right? But what if you're abroad and you still want to learn something about photography, retouching or whatever? That's actually when I started to think, why not do something online like a digital classroom? And thanks to modern day technology, of course, we have Digital Classroom. Now today is a very simple episode. Normally when we do this, we have live shoots in the studio. We have 4 or 5 cameras set up. And you can see the whole shoot. Today I'm going to do a photo critique and photo retouching critique and tips and tricks. Tips and tricks. Yes, that's it. And that means that we only use one camera. So that's nice, right? So that's easy. Also, you see a different backdrop. I'm in my home at the moment because, well, also in the Netherlands we have other lockdowns. So yeah, workshops and the studio at the moment are a little bit on a lower volume. So that means that we can actually do this stuff from home now. Okay, so today, photo critiques and retouching. So why photo critiques? You know, you took a great shot, right? So why should you critique it? There's always something you have to realize. When you are learning photography, it's very important to get input, to know what you are doing right or what you are doing wrong. And of course, you have some people out there that will tell you that everything is wrong. Oh, you suck. Oh, that image is awful. And that doesn't really help, right? But you also have people that go like, oh, I love your work, man. This is the best ever. Yeah, probably your mom or your grandparents or your wife or partner or whatever. That doesn't help either. So how do you make that balance? When I do a portfolio review, I try to do my best to not give you my opinion. I'm just going to give you opinions about lighting, posing, how you can work with your model, how you can do stuff slightly differently, and whatnot more. It's a really interactive part. When I do the retouching, this is where I start to treat the image as my image. And this is the cool part. So when I do the portfolio review in a moment, you will see that I will judge the images by lighting, color, if there's anything really wrong. But I try to totally look to the, let me put it this way, the way that the photographer portrays his image, because that's his stamp, right? It's his signature or her signature. When I do the retouching, I do something completely different. I start to work with the image as if it is my image. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can have the same image and give it to 10 different photographers, and all 10 different photographers will give you a totally different image. And that's what the cool thing is today. That's actually where all the fun lies, to see what I can do with an image and what somebody else does. Now, do remember, there's no right or wrong. Whatever I'm going to say today, whatever I'm going to do today to your images, there's no right or wrong. It's always right. Because you like the image, right? Your client likes the image. So it's always right. There's never something wrong. When I tell you I should do something different, it's my opinion. Take out of all those remarks, take out what you can use and what fits your style. And that's the best way to do a portfolio review. I can be very harsh, but I always try to do it nice. So, okay, let's see. I have my pen ready. I have my tablet ready. Let's go. And, oh, by the way, remember the previous live stream where we talked about tethering? A lot of you guys actually asked me like, hey Frank, when you have that big air direct on your hot shoe, you can't use strobes, right? Yes, you can use the trigger, because those big air directs or case airs, those are smaller, they don't have to be on your hot shoe. Now watch this. One of our friends, he works at Photo Video Retail, They have a very, very new product. It will be on the market this week, and this is it. And they sent me one in advance, so I'm very happy with this. Thank you so very much, guys. Photo Video Retail, you rock, without any doubt. So they are the distributor in the Netherlands for this product, so you can't find them directly from them. You have to go to your local retailer. For example, Camera Express, Camera Nu, Camera Land, Camera Tools, whatever in the Netherlands. Maybe B&H abroad. But this is the one. Now, the cool thing about this one, it's from, let me see before I mispronounce it. It's from Sunway Photo. And this is the PSL Alpha 7R4G, and it means that I can use it with a grip, and that's for me very important. I like to shoot with a grip attached to my camera, and a lot of the L brackets, they don't take into account that you have a grip. The other thing that I really like about it is see how snug this fits. So I'm really happy with it, and this is not a paid promotion. This is literally something I would have bought, but they sent me it to review it and to look at it, and I'm totally over the moon with it. And you know, guys, I would never advise anything to you guys if I don't use it myself or if I love it myself. But this, highly recommend it. And it's below 100 euros. I don't know the exact price, but I believe it's 75 euros, which is insanely good for this. And over here, you see that you have a lot of space in between. So, but it still sits very, very snug to your camera. So, yeah, highly recommend it. Sunway Photo. You can get them for different cameras. It's not a one size fits all. Luckily, it's really tailor-made for your camera. Love it. Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's start with everything today. Okay, let's go to split screen for the desktop. There we go. Okay, first image. And I don't know who shot these images for the very simple reason I don't want to know. Because I want to do the blind critiques, as you know. Okay, so this is, let me see, this is a MEF file. I don't know which camera shoots MEF, but let's see, maybe we can see something here. Let me first change glasses. Because my monitor is a little bit higher because we do live streaming here. So these are a lot better for that. Okay, let me see. Okay, first things first, let's go into develop. And from here I can also make adjustments. Now because I'm also streaming, everything is a little bit slow, but hey, bear with me. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I like the image. I like the red. That is absolutely awesome. There are a few things where I wonder, like, why? It could have been better. The first thing is, of course, and you may have noticed this, it's this tube. I don't think it adds anything to the image. It actually takes away from the image. I know why it's there, but it takes away from the image. And that's also because it crosses her head like this. Now, you can take it out with content aware fill. Let me just try something in Photoshop in a moment. The other thing that I don't get is the vacuum cleaner. Why? Now, there could be one story, and that's actually she's all dressed up, she's very, very nice, I like her head, but why would you do vacuum cleaning when you are dressed up like this? You know where I'm going? It's those storytelling parts in an image, and for me storytelling is key. Storytelling is everything that's important in an image, and when I look at this, I just don't get the story. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, by the way, but do remember that it's not wrong. You can never be wrong, but it's weird for me. Okay, so let's see what we can do. The first thing I want to do is I want to open up the shadows. Now I have a raw file, so I can probably open up the shadows. There we go. Let's turn down the highlights just a little bit and then use exposure to add a little bit more and open up those shadows. There we go. Okay, this looks okay. Now you can also see the velvet of her coat a little bit better. Okay. I have to be careful that you don't overdo this. It has to be natural. Okay, there we go. Control E to go into Photoshop. And again, because I'm streaming, everything is a little bit sluggish and slow. Let me see why it doesn't open Photoshop. Ah, there we go. Okay, fit on screen. Okay, first things first. The first thing I would try to do is get rid of that annoying light on the top. And again, I know why it's there, but it's just freaking annoying for me. Okay, let's go to quick mask. Let's go to a brush. Let's change the brush size change the color. Okay, there we go. Make sure it's on 100%. Okay, what I'm now doing is I'm creating a quick mask. I'm doing it very rough. Now, with these kinds of stuff, guys, please bear with me. I'm doing this quickly because it's a digital classroom. And you can do way better if you take more time for retouching. Retouching is not something you should rush. I rush it for the very simple reason I have to, because, well, it's a live stream and I don't want to keep you guys all day. But please be careful when you retouch yourself. Okay, so we have this. Let's go for edit and then fill. Remember that because you are not on your background layer, you can't just press delete, because then you won't, you just see the bottom part. I'm not going to use the content aware fill filter. I'm just going to see what Photoshop does. Well, Photoshop messes it up completely. So undo fill. Let's go for the filter then. Edit. And let's go for content aware fill. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. And let's see where we want it to sample from. Well, not from here. That's for sure. I don't want anything in there from her face or her head or whatever. So let's take this all out. Okay, let's see what it does now. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Oops. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, it looks a little bit better. Let's do apply. Okay. Okay. Let's do the deselect. And this is why you should do this on location. As you can see here, I'm now ending up with a little bit of a mess. So let's do a layer mask. And then hide all. Okay. And this is what I prefer to do. When I use a layer mask and hide all, I can now just dive in really nicely. And then do my retouching. 1 moment. Okay. Cancel. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I think it's the computer, because I'm seeing all kinds of red in there. Just delete. Okay, there we go. Okay, try it again. Layer, layer mask, hide all. Okay, take white paint. Yeah, just do it like this. Yep, it's not working the way that I want it to work. I'm sorry, guys. And I have no idea why. That's the frustrating part. Okay, just leave it like that. It's weird. Okay, then we do it differently. Then let's just try one more thing. This is weird. Let's do a reveal all. Okay. It's weird that it does that, but okay. And I still can't move anything around. Okay, let's forget this. Let's just delete this. That's one of the main disadvantages of a live stream. When something goes wrong, it really goes wrong. And again, it's weird that it doesn't do this, but hey, whatever. Okay. What I wanted to do is I wanted to give a little bit of the head back. Like here. But it doesn't seem to respond to anything I'm doing. Unless I'm using the mouse, which adds to the mystery. Ah, there we go. Now it does work. Weird. Okay, guys, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm gonna do layer and then a layer mask, hide all. Now it should disappear. Now when I paint with white paint, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. You see here a black piece of canvas over this. That means it hides everything. So when I now paint with white, it should actually show up. And as you can see here, whatever I do, I paint, but it doesn't show up. Now as soon as I pick up my mouse instead of my tablet, it also doesn't show up, which is weird. But hey, whatever. Let me just delete it. You get the idea, right? I want this gone. So let's just do it the old-fashioned way. Let's just flatten image. Okay, let's take the clone tool. I'm going to do it very rough and very quick, but just to give you an idea. So this color doesn't really fit. So let's first copy that over. Oh yeah. It's one of those days, I'm afraid. I'm literally alt-clicking the heck out of this. Alt, click, and paste. Finally. Sometimes updates are awesome, sometimes they are not. And in this case, I'm afraid I have a big, huge bug in Photoshop. Try it again. Alt, click, wait. No, it doesn't work. Okay, this is frustrating, guys. Sorry. I'll try one more time, because I really do need this. Okay. Okay, let me just keep it to the basics, because I don't know why it doesn't alt click. As you can see here, it still selects the alt part. Okay, what I wanted to show you guys is how you blend this together. Now, when you want to blend something, you see that there's a distinct difference in color here. You can do a few things. You can use your healing brush and just go over the sides. And I hope I don't have the same problem here. As you can see here, you just blend everything together a little bit nicer. And now you can also make gradients in your colors, as you can see here. So again, it doesn't make any sense when I show you now, because somehow it doesn't work on this machine. Somehow the alt click does weird stuff. Okay. So I'm sometimes using my healing brush as a sort of, how do you call it, a sort of blurring the paint together. Now I still have the problem here, and this is actually what I wanted to show you guys. So when you start out with an image like this, you already know you are in trouble for the very simple reason. Look at this. When I go back to Lightroom and you zoom in, you can see that it crosses over very distinctly here, and I don't have enough room to just clone this in. Plus this is a different color, under here is a different color, this is very, very close. You can take it out, but it will take you a long time, as you can see here, especially when your computer doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It's really annoying, this. And I hope with other images I don't have this problem. Yeah, whatever I do. Okay, forget about it. Okay, let's just go back to fit on screen. I'm so sorry, guys, but you get the drift, right? Okay, let me open the image again. And let me just close this one. Don't save. Okay, let's go back to Lightroom. Control E. And just let the tube in there for a minute. Or the whole time. Okay. Now, I won't take out the vacuum cleaner because, again, I don't know what the idea is behind it. But I do like the lines here a lot. I really like this. Now, the door, maybe it would be nice if the door was open and there would be a little bit of light sleeping through. Or maybe the cleaning lady looking for her a vacuum cleaner, like going like, ooh, there's a photo shoot here. Maybe that she looks around going like, ooh, photo shoot, you know, with a face like. You can do so many stuff with this in storytelling. So I think that's a missed opportunity a little bit. Or maybe just give an arm, or maybe you know, like a hook where she tries to get the vacuum cleaner away. This is the storytelling part, and I think that's very, very interesting. But overall, I like the lines here. Look at this, geometrical lines, really nice leading lines. Everything is there. I would have placed probably the model herself a little bit more to the side, take a slightly higher position so I can crop this part out. Then you also lose the gray line. So if you would have placed yourself just a little bit higher, you still would have the whole head in, but you don't see the annoying part on the top. I can still play with it, cleaning lady. So overall, I think storytelling for this image is the most important thing that's missing for me. And I think it should be a great opportunity to work with that. To open the door, let the cleaning lady do something. Just be creative with it. Okay, let's close this one down. Okay, and let's go back for the next one. Okay. Ah, I know this place. This is my studio. And this is our model in front of our Hansel and backlight strobe, Rosa. Okay, one of the first things, always make sure that you crop in camera. I don't care how much resolution you have. Some people say, hey Frank, but I have 300% resolution, so I can lose a little bit. Remember, you can always make something smaller, you cannot make it bigger. Let me first check the chat rooms, by the way, because we have a lot of questions in there. Hey Chris, welcome. Stephanie. Enrique is on YouTube giving you some links to the Sunway photo. Neff is Nikon RAW. Awesome. What if you restart Lightroom? It's Jos, I don't think it's a problem with Lightroom. It's actually in Photoshop where, and I have that problem more when I'm streaming. Somehow the alt click doesn't really work. In the studio it works because I'm streaming from a different computer than the one I'm retouching on. So maybe it's becoming time to use two laptops, one for streaming and one for editing, but we'll see. Let me depend on how long the lockdowns continue. Okay, and then on Twitch, Evening Frank, Henrik from Sweden. Hello Sweden, tack. Tack for watching. I don't know anything else in Swedish, so tack. Hello and welcome. My Pro Photo controllers has gotten stuck on my main camera. Oh, that is something that I want to address. This happens a lot. This happens way more than you realize. Some people, let me just switch over to the main camera because I think this is a really important part. A lot of people, they really fasten the controllers on top of the cameras. Trust me, on the hot shoe, if you tighten them too fast, you can have a problem that it actually counterworks because it actually lifts up that little contact that has to make contact. So don't tighten it. It's always, when it's tight, right? So you tighten it, done. It's plastic. So don't over tighten it because it will really get stuck. Somebody else, oh, that's Enwick actually. Ours too, this is why we wanted the brackets. Okay, so make sure, don't tighten stuff too fast, too heavy. Okay, let me see. Okay, the image. Okay, so the first things first, never ever crop in Lightroom or Photoshop, but in this case I have to. So let me just crop. Okay. Let me go down. And you see how much resolution I'm now throwing away. And by the way, if you think like, hey Frank, why aren't you cropping in aspect ratio? I never do. I think that today every print can be made, and I always crop for what I feel is nice, what works for the image. And sometimes a square image works fine, sometimes a 16:9 or 235:1, like that CinemaScope. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I never actually use cropping as a fixed aspect ratio. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, let me make this a little bit tight. Let's just keep it like this. Maybe a little bit tighter on our head. Oh, it's lagging like crazy. Sorry, guys. I still wanted lens flaring. Okay, let me see what I've got now. Okay, this looks better. This, of course, has to go. Let's open up the shadows just a little bit for now, because I know what I'm going to do in Photoshop. Okay. Now, this is one of the things I think that's very, very important. You have to know what you're going to do in Photoshop. Now, I use a light meter, so that means that most of the time I will be perfectly fine and I don't need to open up or close anything in Lightroom. Normally with me, it's actually the image comes in and I go straight into Photoshop. The reason I'm now using shadows is for something else. I know for this kind of image with that very, very dark pants he's wearing and that glimmer on it, I want to enhance that a little bit. And I know that when I'm starting to enhance it, it will also increase the contrast. And it means that the blacks will crush a little bit more. And in the raw converter, I can open up my shadows without any doubt. In Photoshop, it's already a TIFF file or JPEG. Please don't edit in JPEG, edit in TIFF. But when it's already a TIFF file, it's a little bit difficult to open up shadows because when it's gone, right? And in the raw file, still have that latitude. So let's go to Photoshop. Control E. Let me see if there are any other questions. Nope. And feel free, by the way, we have both chats open. Feel free to ask whatever you guys want. The more interaction we have during Digital Classroom, the better. Because that's actually what we want, of course. Okay. First things first, let's take out that annoying part of my softbox. So I'm just going to select it and press delete, content aware fill, the heck out of it. And there we go. Awesome. Now what I always advise you guys to do is actually go through your image at 100%. And this is also why you see why you don't crop later. Do you see I hardly zoom in? And when you have the original image, you zoom in. So it's tight. Okay, go through your whole image and just look at the corners if you didn't forget anything. It's so annoying if you, and it happened to me by the way, with a shot that we took in Vegas, I believe, in the desert. And it's a beautiful shot, and I went through the whole shot and there were no dust blobs whatever in the sky. It was perfectly clear, awesome. I took all the dust blobs out. I printed it out, it was on the restroom, so when you sit down it was straight in front of you for I think 3 or 4 months. And maybe you recognize this story from yourself. It was awesome every time you sat down and you relaxed and you looked at this beautiful, beautiful image. Until one day, cue music. I found out I missed one little dust blob in the middle of the sky. We had to take the poster down. Nobody could go to the restroom anymore. After you saw that dust blob, you kept looking at that dust blob. So make sure that if you do something for print or for the internet, it's very simple. Just go through the image at 100% and see if you didn't miss anything. I didn't. I just looked like this and went like, oh, there's a dust blob. Yeah, and then when you print it big, after 3 months you see it and you go like, you can't unsee it, right? Okay, image. First things first. What I want to do is I want to enhance the pens a little bit. Now, of course, you can use dots and burn. Press long here. And you can use the dots tool. Now dots tool on highlights is always cool because then you just go over it. See, and it really lights up the dress, but you can the pants. You can like, I don't know. Maybe you want something else. Okay, let's go back. One of the things that is way better to do, because with dots and burn you can also clip a channel, and it can look really nasty when you do it on colors. And it's, let's be totally honest, it's like cutting the lawn with a neutron bomb. You don't want to do that. You want to do it with a clipper, right? So this is why I use a slightly different technique. I'd go for layer, go for layer, new layer. Oh, this is slow. And then go for mode, go for soft light, fill with neutral color. So in other words, fill it with neutral gray, in this case 50%, and press OK. What you will now find is that you have a layer that does absolutely nothing. Take a brush, change the color for white. There you go. Okay, make it bigger. And now the cool thing about this layer, in case you never saw it, let's lower the opacity to 29. Now I can just paint with white to make it brighter, or change the color to black to make stuff darker, as you can see here. Yeah, so you can make stuff darker and lighter. Okay, let's do it nice. Okay, let's start over, because I already did it way too much. Go to white, and you see how much latitude that little slider here is, even on 6%, as you can find out in a moment. Look, this is what I want, just a little bit. And you can always lift up your pen and do it again, because if you do it again it will add to that effect. So don't overdo it, of course. Now what I will do is I will always overdo it slightly. So I just said don't overdo it. I overdo it slightly because in the end I can still make the effect appear a little bit less or a little bit more by changing this opacity. So go from 0 to hero. I think actually around, yeah, this is nice. So see before and after. It's not a lot, but it just gives a little bit more edge to everything. So I really like that. Okay, let's do a flatten image. Now I always do flatten image. I get a lot of questions from people like, hey Frank, why do you do flatten image? Isn't that bad? Yes, it is. Don't do it. Unless you're me. The reason I'm doing it is I started with Photoshop very, very early on. And what I learned myself is to think in steps. So the first thing I always will do is get the image in. Take out everything I don't want in the image. That's step 1. After that I can flatten my image because it's there. Enhance details. Step 2. After that I can flatten my image because I know I'm done. After that I will do some sharpening on the image. After that I can still maybe later mix it on, but that's something that I choose. flatten image. The main reason for this is when I started out with my Photoshop work on medium format cameras and laptops, it was really slow. So I learned myself not to work in separate layers. Of course you can do sample all layers and then use only what you clone, but still with those medium format files it could really slow down your computer. So I just started my workflow like, okay, I have step 1, step 2, step 3, and after every step I just go there. See what I'm doing? Just flatten those layers. And in the end it works for me. Okay, let's give it a little bit of sharpness. Let's go for a duplicate layer. Let's go for filter. And what I like to do for sharpness is actually Topaz Studio 2. I don't know if you know about Topaz. Topaz has these really cool plugins and they're actually pretty cheap and they can do amazing stuff. Now, in all honesty, from Topaz I only use the sharpening because the sharpening is absolutely awesome. So let's see what happens. Let me see in the chat rooms before. Okay, spam on Twitch, so if any we can remove that and ban them. Hit that like button. Thank you so very much, Elfin. I would really appreciate that. Chris, Frank, hope you are well, my friends. Yes, we are well at the moment, so no problem at all here. And Jimmy says, hi Frank and Anouk. Hey Jimmy, how are you doing? Okay, I will start from 0. I don't want to use any presets because I want to show you guys what I do. Okay, so add a filter. Now the thing that I like to do is precision detail and precision contrast. So start with contrast and then add another filter, precision detail. Okay, but first contrast. Now what contrast does is, and maybe you remember this from the old days, Luce's art. Nick had something called, now I forgot the name, tonal contrast. Yes, that's the one. And it mimics that a little bit. So let me just show you what it does. The first thing I always do is do it on full blast so you can see the effect, or almost full blast. Just focus very clearly on what you see and you see, okay, so it does something with high contrast. Okay, cool. And it's of course micro contrast. So there we go. Just pull that down. Okay, looks pretty nice. See the original. You see it just takes the haze away, and that's what I want to do. I don't want those images to look like cartoon characters, or I don't want those images to be hyper sharp. I want it to take the haze away and give it a little bit of extra sharpness. And as you probably know, contrast is also our vision of sharpness. When you look at how, for example, your camera focuses, it looks at the parts that have the highest contrast. If you look at how Capture One does their focus overlay, it actually looks at the part that has the highest contrast, and that's actually where it does it. So when I bump up my micro contrast, it's actually pretty logical that at that point the detail will become more stark, more sharp, right? So I sometimes call it, you take the haze away out of a shot. And I hope online you can see the difference. I know on Twitch you can. On YouTube it often softens the image a little bit. As you can see here, it really makes a huge difference. Okay, now same thing for low. Now this I hardly use, and you will see why. It gives you a really muddy effect. See, it blocks almost everything. So this is why I don't use this. The high contrast actually the same. So let's go for medium contrast first and show you what it does. And also this is not my favorite part. As you can see here, it compresses everything, and it does the same for high. So I'm actually only using that micro contrast. Now in this case you can also open up your shadows, midtones and highlights. I don't need that now. So let's just leave it for there. And now let's go to precision detail. This is the part where we go to 100%. And I want to focus especially around here on the stones. So what I want to do is I want to give a little bit more small detail. There you go. You see, it's a little bit too noisy. So let's go down until I like it. And this is something you really have to fine tune yourself. And go for a little bit more medium. There we go. That's nicer. Medium contrast and a little bit of boost. Okay, let's go back to fit and let's go for the original and this. Yeah, it really takes that haze off. And sometimes you like the haze, sometimes you don't. In this case, I like it pin and pin sharp. And of course you can store this as a preset. At this point I won't. So just accept. And Harry van der Brink is also online. Hey Harry, how are you? Okay, first things first. We don't of course want this on the face of our model. Because if you have it on the face of your model, that can look really bad. Oh, what? Guys, this is not my day. And I don't know why. As soon as I click something, it just jumps. Okay, let's go to fit on screen. Okay, I don't want it on the face. So in this case, let's see if I'm lucky now with my layer mask. Layer mask, reveal all. And now when I paint with black paint, it should actually take it out of the face. Which in this case, oh, let's change that. Before I say it doesn't work, let's change it to 100%. Now it works. Oh, that's weird. Anyway, okay. Nice. And of course also from the hands. Don't ever forget the hands. It's something I forgot a lot when I was starting out with retouching. A model has face, chest, hands, legs. If you do skin retouching, don't only do the face, do the hands, do the arms, chest area, and of course legs if you see them. Yeah, this is my next point. I really love Photoshop, and yeah, let's be honest, they do great stuff, and they have this new thing called neural plugins. So let's go to plugins. Oh, sorry. Let's go to filter. Let's go for neural filters, and they have this awesome one called skin smoothing. I really like it, but there's one problem with it. You can probably see it already here. It selects the face, and whatever I do, I can't change it, but it works like a charm. Let me see if I can now go to 100%. Maybe it zooms in on the face. Yeah, that's better. Okay, let's turn it off, and let's turn it on. It's very, very subtle, as you can see, but it really gives you that nice quality of skin smoothing that I like. And in this case, I can even put it a little bit higher. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, it does it on a new layer. So let me just show you what it did. It only did this. But it makes a huge difference if I turn it on and off. Do you see this? I hope you can see it online. Let me see if I can zoom into 200% without my computer going nuts. Yep, there we go. Okay. You see, it really smooths out a little bit of all those unevenness in the skin. And she has great skin, so imagine when you do something like this on not so good skin. Okay, great. Okay. Now, of course, we want to make sure that the attention of the viewer is aimed directly at our model. Now, in this case, we already used a little bit of a vignetting in the lighting, but if you don't and you want to add that, there's a very simple trick. Remember that layer I created, that layer that did nothing, that gray layer? Well, normally you don't have that option. Go for soft light, fill, and go here. And it's a trick I show many, many times, so sorry if you already saw it. Go fast. Select your model. Very, very nice. Okay, select feather. Modify feather. Let's do this pretty much. Let's do 900. Oh, I don't have enough resolution for that, sorry. Edit, undo. Let's do it a little bit less then. Let's do 250. That didn't really do anything, or not what I want. Let's do modify feather. Now, when you're working on your own files, you will probably already know how to set up that feather radius. And this is also why I always advise to crop in camera, because then when you do stuff like this, you always know, for example with me, with 60 megapixels, you need about 800 to make a really nice feathering. Sometimes you need more, sometimes you need less, but you're always around that 800 part. When you are cropping, you never know where you are, because every time you crop differently. So that adds just a little bit time to your workflow. Okay, now inverse to make sure that everything is selected except the model. Take a paint bucket with black paint and just throw it in. There you go. Okay, what you now can see is that we have a little bit more attention to our model. It's subtle, but it isn't. So when it's there, you go like, hey, you didn't add anything until you take it out. Look at this. And that's the best part. If you take it out, you see it. If you don't, you go like, hey, nothing was added. Because then it looks natural. Okay, cool. Now for me personally, the final part is always color. I love to tint my images, and that's also why I love shooting film. And somehow when I shoot film and I scan it, it comes in and I always go like, ooh, nice. When I do digital photography and it comes in, even if I use a color checker, light meter, whatever, it comes in and it looks perfect. And I always go like, that's boring as can be. I don't like it. So always change the colors just slightly. Now, of course, you can use plugins, which I have. I love DxO Film Pack, Exposure Software, previously known as Alien Skin. And of course, you have stuff like your, well, Topaz. What do you have more? On One software. There are so many options out there to tint your images. Luminar, of course. It's insane. But what if you don't want to spend any money on presets, but you still want to build a nice series of presets? Well, go here. Image, Adjustment, Curves. And what you can do is, of course, you can create your RGB curve. But what if you go for red? You take the red out of the shadows. Let me switch over to the mouse because this doesn't work with the Wacom pen. And just add a little bit more. I don't want too much on the highlights. As you can see here, her face starts to look a little bit weird. Oh, and by the way, if you are looking for something to look on YouTube, I just said what if. Look on YouTube for What If. It's a really cool documentary series. They're really small, like 10 minutes, but they always have cool topics. Okay. Go for blue and maybe add a little bit of blue overall to the image like this, and then just tone it down on the highlights. There you go. Okay, see a preview before and after. It just gives the image a little bit extra oomph. And of course you can store this as a preset and use it over and over again. Okay, so this is what I would do with the image. Overall, I don't want to critique the image. She's a great model. If I would critique anything, I would have told her to keep her eyes centered. And this is something you see a lot with any photographer, professionals and amateurs. This is a little bit too much eye wide for me. Let's go to 200%. Maybe that works. There we go. So you'd still see the whole pupil, but I would like to see it a little bit more here, because now she still looks away and it's just a little bit too much eye wide for me. So by moving the eyes just a little bit more that way, you can actually create a nicer flow in the image, which for me personally works a little bit better. But overall, good shot. Okay, let's close this one. Okay, let me see if there are any questions in between. I have delay too also on YouTube. Okay. There's quite a lot of lag between the audio stream and the video. Bad lip sync. Now, it doesn't really make much of an issue, but just thought I mentioned it. Yeah, I don't know. We are using Wirecast. And when I look at Wirecast and I move my hand, it actually works like a charm. So, I don't know. Sometimes it helps when you reset your browser. Sometimes it doesn't. But hey. Okay, let me see. Also on YouTube delay. It's no biggie in this. You may have to weird in the workshops. It's lag behind too much. Yes. Okay, let me see. In the other, we have a lot of questions here. Long time no see. Let's check out what you're doing these days. Still the same thing. Trying to entertain you guys. Hello from Finland. Hey Yanni, how are you doing? Trevor. Hey Frank from the UK. Hoping you and Anna week are well. We are. William, Istad, take it easy. Don't worry. Be calm. We will. Digital is too clinical. It's good to do color toning, to do mood. Yes, without any doubt. And of course, Ineke and Fred are there. So it seems that on YouTube we don't have any delay with some people. On Twitch we do. I don't have a clue why, guys. I'm using a USB microphone and it syncs up perfectly here. So I'm very sorry. I don't know. Okay, let's go for the next shot. Okay, same thing here. You know what I'm gonna say, right? Crop in camera. And composition wise, I don't know, it doesn't call out to me per se as a square image. Also here the same thing with the eyes. As you can see here, the photographer chooses an angle in which the model actually looks away, and that means that you have one white point here and a lot of eye white here, and no catch lights in the eyes, which makes them really, really dark. And I think when you do something like this, the little trick, sunglasses, works like a charm. But then why hold a glass? Maybe you're outside. Same thing here. You're asking for problems by using a very, very bright spot from this side, aiming it on the side, and as you can see here, you see a little bit of a square. Oh, sorry, a triangle here. I don't really like the lighting. I'm sorry. It's a little bit rough around the edges, and I don't have enough separation here. So no, the lighting is not my thing. But hey, it can be personal. Let me see what happens when we open up some stuff. Okay, that looks nice. It's a nice solid black backdrop, so that's awesome. Let me start cropping it. I think when I want to crop this, I'm gonna go for a very aggressive crop. And I know I'm gonna take out your light, sorry dude. Or girl, I don't know who shot this. Let me try this for now. Yeah, I think this is nice. I think this is pretty awesome. Now, overall, there are a few things you do have to take care of as a photographer. The first thing, of course, is this. Let me go to Photoshop so I can actually point it out, because I don't know if you guys see my pointer. It looks like a Sin City vibe, somebody says. Yeah, that could be. Okay, edit original. Of course, because it's a JPEG. So let's first do that crop. Let's go in here. And let's do this. Okay, enter. Now let's crop a little bit more from the top. Okay, that looks really nice. Okay, a few things that immediately drew my attention, and when they draw my attention, it's not very positive. Let me first say that I love the look of this shot. It's very, what somebody else already said online, it's a very Sin City vibe. It's very, very harsh. It's almost like you use black and white and some tones in between, but it's not like a whole gray palette, which I love, because I love those extremes. On the other hand, this is also where it can go deadly wrong, and overall you did it great, but this, in my opinion, when you light it like this, I think this should be completely dark. Or use sunglasses or whatever, but this is just too much, for me, this is too much rumble. Another thing that really draws my... let me try, by the way, just to make it black. Just for fun. And now you can also see immediately the second problem. When you make it black, it starts to look like a deadhead, right? It's too dark. And this is something that is incredibly hard to do. And when you look at my portfolio and I do stuff like this, let me see if I can find something that mimics that a little bit. Let me go to my portfolio. One moment. Otherwise I don't see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. Now I can draw it back. Okay. Now I don't say that I know everything about portrait photography, because I always learn every single day. Let's go to portraits. Okay, when I try to light something from the side, look what I do. I always try to keep this lit. So part of the eye, and of course part of the other part. The nose, so you get a nice Rembrandt triangle. Same here. Now you see that I counterclockwise set my light. So you light it from that side and let the model look that side. What I do is actually the other way around. And I think maybe that works better. Same here. If you don't have the option to get light over there, just tilt your head a little bit more that you don't see that part. Just block it off. Let's see if I have more of those examples. Here I do the same thing. I didn't have enough light really here, or maybe too much, so I just lift her head a little bit up, tilt it, and you just block that light. So it gives it a little bit more smoothness in the shot, if you know what I mean. And when I go back to your shot, you see that I don't have that option. It's or everything is black, or, well, as it was before. You see? just a little bit too little. And I think it could have been solved by placing the light higher. When I follow the light now, I can actually see that you place your light, let me go for red. So when I follow the light, it almost looks like you had it under this angle, because the nose doesn't want to go down. Normally, unless I'm seeing it wrong, let me crop in a little bit more. Let me first do the crop. Oh, this is so annoying. Maybe it's time to try that new Apple notebook. And keep this one for streaming. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you see what's going on? This part is probably, I don't know how you call this, between the nose and this. Yeah, I think that's going wrong. I think this is her nose part going up. So I think, and you have the same thing here. So when you place your light not high enough, what you can actually get is that this part will actually block the eyes. And because the nose shadow isn't forced down, it will actually block this up, and you open up here. Because this is actually the light hitting from the side over this part. So this part is in shadow, the other part is actually open. So I think when you place your light just way higher and aim it down, you get a way better image. And I just see that I messed up the crop. Let's just forget about the drawing tablet for now. And by the way, we have some cool stuff coming in probably. New drawing tablets, because I have so many problems with the ones I have at the moment. So we're going to try a different brand. Very soon we're going to announce that. But let's see what happens. Okay, the other part that doesn't really fit for me is this. I would have probably preferred to have the shirt a little bit more like this. Because now it really looks like it's behind her chest or her breast. And that looks a little bit weird. But that's all styling, it's all lighting placement. That's why you do the Photocritiques, right? So, but overall, let me boil it down. Let me boil it down in a nice way, of course. I love the look, without any doubt. Don't change it. It's very stark, it's very high contrast, absolutely gorgeous. But be careful with your lighting. Don't rush the lighting. Make sure that you really look through the viewfinder. Literally through the viewfinder you see whatever you shoot, because you see it through the viewfinder, right? So be careful with that. Overall, again, love the look. A little bit more careful about the clothing, and a little bit more careful about the lighting. And maybe this finger I should have placed here, because now it looks like it's floating a little bit. But overall, great look. Okay, let me see. Here we have the NEF. So this is the raw file. I know this is Nikon. Yep. She's daring to go all the way up there. And then we have, oh, this is so slow. And then we have this one. This also looks really nice.
There's a question on YouTube.
Oh, there's a question on YouTube. Awesome retouch from Maas. Oh. Looks like Sin City 5. Can you say more about aspect ratio choice? I don't think it's necessary to stick to standard 4:5, right? Yes, Dan. I love aspect ratios when I know I work for a client and the client says I need an A2 poster or an A0, that's a certain size. I will do it in aspect ratios. When I'm working myself and when I work on free work, I don't want to do aspect ratios for one very simple reason. When you do an aspect ratio, you are locked into that aspect ratio. You don't want that. You don't want to be locked in. What you want to do is you want to create something that fits the photo. Look for example, for this one. I like the shot like it is here, but I would have cropped it exactly the same way that this guy did. In other words, come on, long. Just looks way better. And it just draws you into that photo and you don't miss the stuff that isn't interesting. So overall, yeah, I love that crop. So let's do the same thing. Let's see if we have more questions, by the way. Okay, let me just go for develop. Let's just go down. By the way, I think I might know where the delay is coming from. Normally, when we do this in the studio, I'm retouching on a separate computer from the one that's streaming. I'm now doing everything on the same computer, and I now can see when I'm doing this, that there's a slight delay in Wirecast, and when I activate Wirecast, now it's fast. So I think the problem is there. So I think we do have to get a new laptop. Okay, same crop. It's a raw file, so what I love to do with raw files is actually lower the highlights and open up the shadows for outside, and then bump up the contrast until I like what I see. There we go. Add a little bit of texture maybe. Let's try to see if we can retouch one straight into Lightroom, right? A lot of people always say you need Photoshop, and you do, but why not do it in Lightroom if it's possible? Okay, very nice. Let's add a little bit of vibrance. Ooh, that really adds. And of course we have a new option in Lightroom. This is why I love Lightroom even more now. Color grading. And let's start out with the shadows. Now the first thing I want to do in the shadows, I want to add for this a little bit of red. Oh, that's too much. Oh, guys, it's really difficult for me to do this. So just bear with me. If it's not 100% right, don't blame me. I'm literally fighting a computer that doesn't want to do what I want to do. Okay, this is nice. I still want to keep that natural look, but I do want to just push it a little bit over the top with my adjustments. And I think for the highlights, let's go for deep blue. Oh, look at this. You can totally change the look of an image. Go for red, for example, and it looks unnatural. Too much blue is also unnatural, but this looks really nice. Okay, color grading done. Let's turn that off and on. See the difference? And again, it's subtle, but it's there. Okay, go for curves. And just add a little bit on top. This is nice. Okay. I don't need any lens corrections. Come on. Let's go for effects. Let's see if we have some cool stuff there. No. I don't think we really need to change anything. Sometimes what I like to do with an image like this is just freak a little bit with the adjustment brush. And then do that with, for example, texture and clarity just a little bit higher. And then you just use a big brush. Just give a little bit of extra attention to the bottom part. As you can see here, everything is lagging, so so sorry guys. Okay, there we go. And of course the exposure should be down, should be to 0. Okay. Okay, turn it off so you can see some. Just enhancing the water just a little bit. Okay, close. I think I wouldn't do anything less to it. I know that the original shooter opted for a little bit more warmth in the image, which I agree to. This image just pops a little bit more, the one that I did. And it's a personal choice. If you want more warmth in there, no problem at all. You can still do that. And of course you can also play a little bit with your white balance. But I wouldn't do it too much. I think the one that I made I actually like. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do a little bit in between. After I check the questions. Hello Leo, you're online, awesome. Jos Peters, I use a drawing pad from a cheap Chinese web shop. Yeah, I'm not gonna go for the cheap drawing tablets, but we are looking at the moment very seriously at XP Pen. And the reason for this is very simple. I love my Wacoms. I have a little Wacom here, and I have the Cintiq in the store, in the studio. The problem is, however, that somehow I also want a display here. And the XP Pens are just a little bit cheaper, and they tell me it's just as good as the Wacoms. So we're gonna try it out soon, and as soon as we have them here, I'm gonna keep you guys updated. I'm very curious to see, because I'm an absolutely Wacom lover. I love Wacom. I hope that doesn't sound weird. in the Dutch language we can say that, but let me put it this way. I'm a Wacom fan. I love Wacom. And for me it's weird to go for another brand, but hey, I just want to try it out to see if that solves some of the problems we have lately. Okay, no more questions here. I'm trying to do 2 chats at the same time. Okay, how can you place it on social media if your ratio is off? Social media takes everything. Social media takes 3D images, they take images that are wide, that are small. The only thing that you have to be careful for is Instagram. Instagram can handle long images, but it can't handle high images. So when I have a high image, I always crop a little bit in Instagram, which I think is a shame. Or if it's really important, I open up an extra app and just place black borders on the side. I think Instagram really should grow up. Is that the correct term? And just accept every form, and also make it possible that when you click on an image, it opens up large. Because let's be honest, Instagram, it's great. It's growing like crazy, but it's still stuck in 10 years ago, where you have small screens where you look on. Just make it bigger, make it nicer. Same with Twitter. Stop with that 140 characters. Make it 200 or 240 or whatever. Okay, something in between. A lot of you guys have asked me about those images we create with a lot of that film noir looks. So let me just give you some examples of those images. So let me go for this. Okay. So most of the times it's images like this, and we get a lot of likes on social media for those images. And I have to be honest, I don't shoot a lot of black and white. I always make the joke, if something goes wrong and you mess up a shot, make it black and white, add a lot of contrast and noise, and you have instant art. And that doesn't mean that all the images that you see online that are black and white are actually not sharp, because this one is pin sharp. But what I do with these images, and I hope you can see it, is I'm really pinpointing my light. It's not like I'm using a strip light or I'm using grids. I'm literally pinpointing my light, and I do that by using flags. Now, you guys have been bugging me for years, like, hey Frank, can you do an instructional video on flags and how to use film noir lighting and how to use blinds in an image? Because, well, let's be honest, those images are absolutely awesome with blinds. Let me see if I have one here, so you can see what I mean. And again, I have way too many images online, I think. There you go. So images like this. So let me just show you guys what we did. So we created, especially for you, a video called Mastering the Model Shoot Glamour, Light of the Old Masters. And here you can see the trailer. It's the first time we're showing the trailer in a digital classroom, so watch it. And after that I will give you some more information. The Light of the Old Masters. Isn't that a great title? But what is it? Well, in the old days, we all know those pictures, right? Harcourt, George Hurrell, film noir. It's that awesome look where you have total light control. Well, this video is all about total light control and mimicking the look of those old masters. But we're going to do way more, because we are not in the old times anymore, of course. We are in modern times. So we're going to talk about using flags in a modern studio. Of course, combining continuous lighting with strobes for a film noir look. How to create those really nice harsh shadows on your model, for example, from blinds. And of course, how to get mood in your pictures. I'm going to share a lot of different tips to get a nice glow in your images without breaking the bank. We're going to talk about specialty lenses like the Lens Baby system. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff that really adds that magic of the old masters to your images. The video is available now, and I'm 100% sure you're going to love it. It's very technical, but I'm very sure that even if you're a beginner, you get a lot of information out of it. But this is the video about total light control, Glamour, the Light of the Old Masters. Available now. Okay, so you see that we're lagging on Twitch and YouTube. We found out the reason in between. It's because I'm editing on the same computer as I'm streaming. Somehow we did it always from home with Portfolio. We would just go through images and that's no problem at all. But now it's just a little bit too much for the computer, and it's weird. It's an i9 with 32 gigs, so it should work, but I see my CPU going crazy. And that's probably because, of course, on Photoshop, it also goes on full course. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a new laptop just for streaming. So just for you guys. Do me one favor. Pay for it. No, I'm just kidding. But you can. So you saw the trailer for this video. Now we have over 15 instructional videos. We have a lot of preset packs. And you know what's Friday, right? Friday, it's Black Friday. I hope you can still pronounce that, but it's a Friday with a lot of discounts. Let me put it this way. So especially for you guys, when you go to frankdorov.com/videos, it starts today. So we just made this code just before the live broadcast. Go to frankdorov.com/videos. Pick whatever you like. Go to presets. You can also pick whatever you like from presets. You can add whatever you want to your basket. So if you want 10 instructional videos, you add 10 instructional videos or all the presets. It doesn't matter. Everything is 50% off. When you check out, you use the code AWESOME. It's that simple. 50% off everything. Starting today up until Monday night. If we get enough sales, I promise you, we will get a new laptop just for streaming. And yeah, so help me out. Another option is, of course, if you really like what we do, go for our Patreon. Now, Patreon starts at $1 a month. And the cool thing is you get a closed off Facebook group where we all come together, we discuss photos, we discuss photography and everything else in life. I sometimes show images from when I'm mountain biking or a short video from me mountain biking or playing guitar or whatever. It's a very, very nice community. We have there a lot of questions going around after retouching. And the cool thing is also that the people who are in higher tier, so it starts with $1 a month, but you can go all the way up to whatever you want. I think starting at $10 a month, you can send in your images once a month and I will do a complete video for you. That's approximately between 10 and 15 minutes. And I will tell you everything about the lighting. I tell you everything about the retouching, storytelling, whatnot more. And the cool thing is, even if you only pay $1 a month, you can still see those videos. And those videos are only for patrons. They will never be broadcast anywhere else. They're just for patrons. And that starts at $1 a month. And again, you help us out by getting us that new laptop for the streaming. Okay, let's go. Enough begging, right? Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the previews. Oh, Black Friday is still being used in the US, thank God. So, and to be totally honest, before somebody explains that's wrong, I was brought up by my parents to not see any color. Not at all. So everybody's equal for us. So for me, it's often a little bit difficult. Can I still say Black Friday or not due to all the tensions and whatever? But for me personally, I never see that everybody's equal, right? You have to judge somebody by what he does or she does and not by skin color. And I know it happens, but hey. So that's why I'm a little bit scared. Can I still use Black Friday? But hey, they do in America, so we can too. Okay, this image. Looks very, very nice, but, and you know everything before but is bullshit, right? This is too dark. And again, crop in camera. Don't crop like this. This is terrible. Don't. It's in the middle. You don't have any balance in your shot. And in this case, I can fix it. So let's go and fix it. But don't do this, because if you have something in the backdrop, this shot will go into the trash can because you can't save it, or I have to crop even more aggressively. And I will show you in a second why. Okay, let's go to Photoshop. Awesome. Okay, let's start out by doing this. I think this is the most important part. Make the crop a little bit more aggressive. Now, if there was a background, the only option I would have would do this. And that's not good. So let's do this. And let's first just press enter now. And let's add. And this is a trick that's pretty cool. I want to go, I think, like this. Okay. Now, of course, you can use content aware fill or clone or whatever. But as you can see here, there's a little bit of color difference. So you will never get that 100% nice. So what can you do? Well, why not do this? Make a rectangular marquee as close as possible to your model. Very nice. Edit, transform, scale. I believe we have to hold the shift key. Yep. And there you go. Now, because I have a little to work with, you see all those stretch marks here? That's terrible. We don't want that. So what I have to do is just make that nicer. And it will not be perfect, but hey, if you take your time, you can make it perfect. And I will go as close as possible to the model. Yes, and just blur it. I use Gaussian blur. I'm not gonna blur it a lot. I just want to blur it just enough to lose those lines. There we go. And now when you zoom in 100%, you will see that the rest still has this annoying pattern. So we don't want that. So let's fix that too. Okay, let's just fix it totally. There we go. Okay, let's create a duplicate layer. Okay, let's use the Harry Potter stick. Tolerance 9 should be okay. Hold the shift. Very nice. Okay, same here. Now it's very important that I don't select anything from my model, but I only select the backdrop. Here I see problems, yes. Okay, but this is also pure white, so that doesn't really matter. Okay, it looks good enough. Select, edit, cut. Sorry, first inverse. Oh, I have to make sure that I select my model. Edit, cut. Okay, let's make sure that there's nothing from the model in there. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Filter, blur, Gaussian, and just blur the heck out of it. There you go. Okay, and now it looks terrible because there's a glow around your model. Some people like it and they keep it that way. I don't. Past special into place, and there you go. So now we have a perfectly nice smooth backdrop and our model in there. Now if you see Newton rings or those irritating loss of bit depth, the only thing you have to do is filter. And let me see if we see them now. I don't think so, because you normally see them in more darker areas. Yeah, this is perfectly smooth. But if you see those annoying lines, and you can also see that, by the way, when you have a cheaper camera and you shoot on JPEG, sometimes the sky is a little bit grainy and all those lines are in there. You go like, too much compression, throw it out. Don't throw it out. Do this. Filter, noise, add noise, and the only thing you need is 1% Gaussian monochromatic noise, and those artifacts will disappear like snow before the sun. Okay, awesome. So I think this looks better than the original one. It's still, I think, a little bit too high on the top, so let's just crop it even more aggressively. We all know she has the top of her head, right? Yeah, I like this. I think composition-wise, I think this is a little bit stronger, but I still miss the light in her eyes. And that's, for me, even if I love the shot, even if I like the styling, if I see an eye that's that dark, for me that's a trash can image. But you see the composition, work on your composition. It's so important, guys. Don't crop in camera, because this I can do literally with a seamless backdrop. But you see, I also have to do 3 or 4 steps. But with a seamless backdrop, it's okay. When you do this, for example, on location, this is a shot that you can literally throw away because you can't move everywhere. So let me try to explain it by this. This is, for example, a shot with a backdrop. Now imagine that it was cropped like this. Just for fun. Just imagine that it was cropped like this. So it looks like a cutout. There's no feeling anymore. There's nothing in the image. It's terrible. It's junk. It's literally, throw it out. It's terrible. But when you do this, wow, now it all opens up and now you have that story. And this is something that in the studio we call this negative space. And I'm a very big advocate actually to throw away the whole thing, negative space, and relabel it as positive space, because it helps your image so much. And this is just very, very cool to do. Work with stuff like this. Okay, let's go to Photoshop from the raw file. And by the way, I'm running overtime, I see. Oh no, I'm okay. One of my clocks is an hour before. I was going like, ooh, is that late? No, that's impossible. Okay. I think in this case, let me just close down the highlights, give a little bit of contrast. There we go. Bring that oomph back. And then just play with your shadow slider to go back. I have a very weird way of working with this, somebody told me, but it works. And hey, if it works, right? I think by doing this, so by using my highlights, shadows, and contrast together, I get a little bit more oomph in the images than without. But hey, you have to do what you like. Okay, so cropping wise, I think Dan actually did it right, but I'm going to do something else in Photoshop in a moment by cropping the top off. So I think that's right. Okay, let's go to Photoshop, Ctrl E. Let me see if there's any more questions. Dan says, I like when you crop heads, but it never looks right when I do it. I know. Weird, right? I had exactly the same problem with black and white. I always shoot in color. And then I make it black and white. I go, oh, this is awesome. I love this black and white version. Wow, I'm over the top with it. And a week, look, it's black and white. It's awesome. And then I go back to color and go like, oh, but that's better. And somehow I never have the guts to do it in black and white. So I always do it in black and white and color and let people decide. So whatever. And that's the cool thing. We can do it in both. Okay, let me see. Elvin, one of two. Frank get the laptop with that new chip seen on a video where a person was playing back 4K video in DaVinci. 2 of 2, normally it would lag. I was able to play back 6 4K video at once. Yeah, the thing is, I'm a big Windows supporter and fan. I used Apple for many, many years. And I went away from Apple due to the keyboard. And very simple, because they were too early by taking out all the slots, like HDMI, no card reader, whatever. However, I'm using at the moment my iPad Pro as my main driver for Lightroom, for video editing with LumaFusion, and of course Project Rush from Adobe, which is really getting there now. Every update is like better and better and better. So I'm slowly now switching between LumaFusion and Project Rush. And at first Project Rush was way behind. At this moment they are creeping together. So that's awesome to see from Adobe. And so the new MacBooks with the M1 chip, I see a lot of reviews from them. They are blazingly fast and they can run all the iPad apps. And I also love to make music. And on iPad you have a lot of apps that are great for music. So if I can run them also natively under macOS. But then again, Photoshop seems to be slower. And you can't run Windows. So I have to get one extra. So it would be the cheapest one. And that is probably already fast enough for what we're doing with the live broadcast. But if you have any opinions about it, just give me an email, because this is something I'm very reluctant about to do. But hey, if it has to be done, this is not working. Okay, let's go to 100% and let's first take some stuff out that I don't like in the image. And that's, for example, that orange thing over there. And now, normally we love orange because we're Dutch. But in this case, let's take that out. And again, when I'm not streaming, this is like instant. It just whoops and it's done. So don't think we're working with old junk. Okay, and press delete and it's gone. Okay, so those are the really annoying things that can, for me, destroy an image. Now, Dan is one of my Patreons. And I'm very curious to see if Dan actually took that out in the original one that he sent me. Yes! Awesome. This was one of the things that I don't know if it was Dan, but I pointed this out during a portfolio review for Patreon. And I said, those are the things that a lot of people forget. And the response was, and again, I don't remember if it was then, the response was, oh my god, I never saw that and now it annoys the heck out of me. Or it was Allison, one of those two. And he actually did take it out, so that's awesome. So that shows actually that when you are listening to other people, your photography will immensely get better. So I always listen to people when they tell me something, even if they are not photographers or retouchers, because everybody looks different and you can learn from everybody. Okay, what do I want to do? I want to see if I can replace the sky in this image. Now I have to be honest, I'm not a fan of this kind of stuff, but I love to play with it. So let me see. For this one, of course, we need something really moody. Oh, come on. Don't crash. Yeah, come on. You can do it. Yeah, here it messes up a little bit. But hey, we can fix that, I think. Let me see if you have more skies that are a little bit more dark. Yeah, I think this one is awesome, but I don't need the mountains. Let me go down. Spectacular. Yeah, that's fake. I want something really nice and dark and moody, but it should fit the scene. And then I end up with this. But it has to be a little bit lighter, I think. You can still change that later, by the way, but I want something a little bit more moody. Oh, this is interesting. That's the one. That's nice. Okay. And because you have everything on separate layers, you can still mess around with it, but I think it's okay. The only thing is, of course, he has everything out of focus, as you can see, and the sky is pin sharp and in focus. So let me first see, this is our gradient and this is the sky. Okay, the first thing I have to do, of course, is blur the sky. So Gaussian blur. Do make sure that you do this. I see a lot of people that now have the sky replacement tool, and where you can see the focus falling off in the distance, and then you have a razor sharp sky, and I go like, what? Don't. If the focus falls off here, the sky should be out of focus too. So blur the heck out of your sky. Sorry. Make sure that you are on the sky layer, Frank. Yep, I know. Blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, don't overdo it, of course. Yeah, and here we have the same problem again. I'm 100% sure this works normally. I don't... Oh, wait a minute. Select, deselect. You see this little part over here that was still selected? That's why it didn't work. Gaussian blur. Okay, that's way too much. It still has to resemble a sky. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Awesome. Okay, make it a little bit brighter, because otherwise you see those lines a little bit too much. There we go. Now, let's be totally honest. Compared to this is something I can live with. It's not over the top different. If you don't know it, it looks convincible, but it is fake. And by the way, did it place a mountain over there? Yeah. I don't want a mountain over there, but hey, just leave it for now, you know what I mean. Okay, I'm not going to do skin retouching for the very simple reason you can use a filter for that, and I don't want to do that over and over again. But I do want to show you something else. And that's a filter called Exposure Software. Now, on our website, we have a really nice discount code for them, previously known as Alien Skin. And without a doubt, this is one of my favorite tinting softwares. Let me see in between if there are any questions. Nothing on Twitch. How to put reflection of sky in the lake surface, or not important in this case. Yeah, you can put it in the lake by just copying it and flipping it, but I'm not a big retoucher for that stuff. A lot of people think that when you do retouching, you know everything, right? I don't even have the guts to do the Adobe Photoshop course. You can do an exam and then you get your licensed Photoshop trainer. For the very simple reason, I always tell people I'm the best Photoshopper in the world. In my part. And my part is only maybe this in what Photoshop can do. But I can do that really, really well. I know everything about it. I know all the ins and outs and what it works. But it's only one small part of Photoshop. And I'm not a compositor. So I think somebody like Glyn Dewis, or for example, just name any big compositor, they will probably just flip that sky over and just, that's easy, just do it with a layer mask or luminance. I don't know. But they will do it in a heartbeat. If I do it, it will look absolutely horrendous, even worse than it looks now. So, but yeah, it can be done. I've seen guys do it in 5-6 minutes. So yeah, I would probably take 4 hours and then just crap the whole image. Let me see. The cool thing I like about exposure software is that you can you can select something. Like now I clicked it, and then I can just hover over the other ones and just see which one I like more. And these are all, by the way, my presets. I just want to give you a little hint in this. You can buy presets online for, sometimes they charge 200 euros. Don't do that. Presets are very simple to build yourself. It takes a lot of time, but it's not that hard. Now we charge, I believe, 10 or 15 euros for a preset pack. That's a nice start. You get about 50 to 200 or 300 presets in exposure software. You get a lot, I believe 200, because I used that software for such a long time. And that's a good starting point for 15 euros. But if you have to pay 200, don't do it, guys, because it's never your look. It's always the look from somebody else, and you can use it, you can change it, but it's not worth 200 euros. Trust me, it's nothing you can't do yourself. Yeah, now I have to sell my preset pack, right? It's nothing you can't do yourself. Now, what I like to do is change the colors. And as you can see here, how did I do that? You can go up here to your HSL, and that's Hue, Saturation and Lumens. And you can see that everything that was yellow, I actually can change back. Yeah, it doesn't work today. Just forget about it for today, right? I don't want to crash the computer. But anyway, I love that it changed the color a little bit. If you don't want that, I will just choose another one, because this is dense image. I don't want to destroy it too much. Yeah, just... Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but I want to try to get something that's really nice. Because somehow the image, for me, it misses a little bit finesse. Okay, let's go over the top. Yeah, like this. I really like this. Okay, let's open up shadows a little bit. Remember when I told you that sometimes a preset will literally crush your shadows? This is one of those examples. Okay, and the highlights we also pull back just a little bit. Not too much. There we go. This is pretty cool. Okay, let's then... What should we do? Give green a little bit more oomph. More and blues. So I don't want to lose too much of the original image. Okay, apply. As you can see, natural light. Some lighting, but in this case it's pretty flat, and I like more direction in my lighting. So that's when, by using a preset, you can call it Instagram the heck out of a shot to make it more interesting. On the other hand, you can't polish a turd, right? And this image is great. You have great styling, you have great location, you have a great crop. So the only thing I have to do is make sure that that flat lighting, which I personally don't like and somebody else can like it. Remember what I said at first? It's my personal opinion in retouching. When I judge the image, I judge the image by the taste of the photographer. And some people just love natural lighting, and they love that flat look, and they hate contrast. So they look like something like this and go, oh Frank, that's fake. It is, of course it's fake, but it's my fake, right? Okay, so overall, love it. A totally different look from this one. And by the way, if you judge it for a natural light shot, Dan actually did it perfectly. Look at all the detail you see. Look at everything is lit perfectly, light. The backdrop is perfectly. This is great. It's just not my taste. There we go. Okay, let me see. What can we do more? One of the things that I also like to do sometimes is play with the red channel. Now, what is the red channel? The red channel is actually what we see. Now, everything that we see in real life and also on computers is RGB, red, green and blue. So let's make a new layer on top, and let's go for that background layer, and let's go for channels, and let's pick the red channel. use Ctrl A and Ctrl C. What I actually do is select everything, copy everything. So now I have the red channel copied. Go to that empty layer, Ctrl V. Now drop that red in. Now you might think, hey Frank, this is a normal black and white conversion. It's not. It's the red channel. And with the red channel we can now use, for example, soft light and just blend it in with the original one. The first thing you will see is it will crush everything together. That's correct, because you're now watching at an RRGB image. If you remember Technicolor, by the way, they did something funky with the colors, right? That's why all those colors are so vibrant. And they actually did the same thing. Standard is RGB. In Technicolor or anything you do with retouching, you can combine those color channels with each other. And with film, of course, that was a totally different experience than in digital. Nowadays, it's way too easy. And that's also why I don't like all those artificial intelligence stuff. At one moment you go to a point where you start wondering, why should I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like Bas Meulker, to get a great shot when somebody else just takes out their cell phone with 40 megapixels. They take an image during daytime and they go into a software package and they just say auto enhance to Bas Meulker. They just press one button and they have exactly the same shot. I'm sorry, that doesn't float for me, no. And as a photographer I can still see the difference if it's faked or not, probably. But as a normal viewer, why should somebody get out at 4 o'clock in the morning to get that shot if you can also fake it with fog and everything in there? I just think it's wrong. Leave comments below if you agree. Although with skin retouching, I love it. Okay, so I think this overall is very, very nice. Okay, we can try to get a little bit of a vignette in there. Now, I'm going to use an action. And actions you can record in Photoshop, and in this case it's an action called Paint with Light. And it's very simple, it's just make the layer, use soft light and fill with neutral gray. Remember the one we did a few times before, but now I'm doing it as an action. Okay, zoom out. Get my elliptical marquee or selection tool. I prefer selection. Select our model. Oh, this is so bad. There we go. Select modify feather. 500. I hope that works. Yeah, perfect. Select inverse. Awesome. Take a paint bucket. Fill it with black. And just drop it in. There we go. Okay, deselect. Now this is way too much. Literally, I need a hint of this, just a hint. I just want my model to jump out a little bit more. There we go. Now this is my personal retouch. In the end, I don't like the sky at all. I think this looks too fake. But in all honesty, hey, it looks nice. So overall, yeah, I think we're gonna leave it with this. I hope Dan likes it. Let me just see in the chat. Oh, Dan says, Frank, I love it. I'm going to pay you 6,000 euros for this retouch. Awesome. Let me see. How to put reflection. Okay, I got that one. I missed the colors of the sky in the water. Yes, the colors. Yes. I agree. You could paint in the colors with your brush on paint, but look at all the little leaves over here. And you have to paint all around them. And I love artificial intelligence for that. Hey Frank, I'm with you. AE has its place, but I prefer the old-fashioned way. Yes, you don't have to go the old-fashioned way, but don't make it too easy. Come on. Check is in the mail. Awesome, Dan. Love you. Okay. Next image. Okay, this one. This is awesome, of course. Same thing. Please, I don't know if it's the same photographer. Crop in camera. Don't crop like this. Don't. And don't be afraid to cut off a little bit. There we go. Looks way better. Okay. Control E. Go to Photoshop. This screams black and white for me. Yeah. Okay. And for black and white, let's just do it without... Now, let's do it with filters. Let's have fun. Let's go to Exposure Software 6. Let's go to black and white. Some people ask me like, hey Frank, should I take the glasses out of the glasses? Yeah, don't. Somebody that wears glasses has a certain distortion, and for example, when I look at my own glasses, I have very little distortion because I can also see without glasses and pretty well, but it's just a small correction. But if you have a really high value, you will see that it actually starts to creep in or actually expands. This looks terrible on a picture if you don't know the person, and that's the thing. If you know the person and you would take the glasses out and somebody that knows that person sees the image, they go like, hey, that's not him. Because they are used how those eyes are behind the glasses. They are used to that little distortion. So if it really annoys the heck out of you, just tilt the head a little bit different, but don't take glasses out. And as you can see here, you can shoot glasses without reflections, any problem. When I go to my own portfolio, we've shot so many images with sunglasses and with glasses, trust me. We did a whole series for our local optician, a store where you buy glasses. And they were all glasses like this. These are not the images, by the way, but as you can see, there's no reflection in the glasses, and I didn't take them out, trust me. And the whole trick is angle of incidence is angle of reflection. So that means that if you are shooting straight on, you will see the reflection. But if you shoot from a high angle and you shoot from a low angle, you will see the reflection. But if you shoot from a high angle and you shoot straight on, there's no reflection. So if you know that you have to shoot people with glasses, for example, in a business, and you have to do headshots, make sure that you set up the light higher, so everybody that wears glasses benefits from that light setup. And for the other people, raise the chin just a little bit to get all the lighting nice on our face. Where are the one with the glasses? Okay, this is actually the owner of the store. Also here, no glasses are gone, and you can see that you really see straight through the glasses. Here the same thing. See, no reflection, but you see the distortion. So don't worry about glasses, just angle your light. Okay, let's go for a nice black and white look for this one. And you don't have to do a lot about these images. Watch this. As soon as I go for black and white, it's probably already done. Nice. The only thing is, I don't like the look of this one. I like it a little bit more toned down on his beard. So go into your HSL, and you can see here with color, you see the HSL. With black and white, you don't see them, but they're still there. I hope. This is my fault. Sorry, guys. There we go. This was the one I was looking for. You can still change the reds and make his face darker. In this case, I want his face a little bit more light up. There we go. And I have to find, because the beard is white, sometimes it helps when you lower the yellows. Not always. No, in this case it doesn't. So I'm having a really big problem now, because of white I can't tone down easily. So I can try something. With, for example, magentas and purple, but I'm actually now not lowering the whites, but I'm adding more contrast with skin. And the cool thing is, because you're shooting in black and white, you can still create everything you want with these sliders. And a lot of people don't realize how much power there is within these sliders. Look, I can even make his whole coat disappear or get the same color, or make it stand out even more that he's wearing something else underneath. He was wearing blue, so, and something dark, so I have to make that distinction still there, something like this. But I think this looks way better than the color version. Yeah, I really like this. Okay. Now you see this little dot over here on his head. Now if that's something that isn't there all the time, I will take it out. And I think in this case this really looks like something that he bumped his head, or maybe had a little bit of an zit or whatever you want to call it. So in this case I'm going to take it out. If it's a birthmark, I will leave it in because it's the person. Now when I'm shooting a model, this is something different. In a model I will take out everything I don't like. For the very simple reason, at that point I'm not shooting a character portrait, but I'm shooting a model, and the model is for me like a clothing rack where I can hang my ideas on. I hope it doesn't sound weird. But I will, for example, if I want to shoot a Batman, right? And I find a guy, but his chest is just a little bit too tiny for Batman. I will dress him up as Batman. I will take the image, and then with the liquify tool, I will just make his chest a little bit bigger. But I will never do that if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, I need a portrait. It's for a job interview or whatever. Can you make me more beautiful? I have a little bit of problem with that, because if I make you more beautiful and you can see the image and you go like, ooh, she looks really nice, she looks like 30, and somebody comes in and sees 50 and you go like, what? Now, of course, you shouldn't discriminate on age, but I also think it's not fair to show somebody an image of a 30-year-old and then come in as a 50-year-old. So when I shoot something for headshots, I will try to do as little as possible with retouching. I can still mess around with the image by doing what I did now, changing color channels, smoothing the skin just a little bit, taking out a little bit of the unevenness here to make her a little bit more fresher, or him. But I won't change anything about, for example, if he has baggy eyes, I won't take him out. If it's lighting, I will take it out. If it's a model shot, I will take it out. Not in this case, but you know what I mean, right? With model shots, you can change whatever you want. When you shoot somebody for a portfolio or for herself to be hired, don't mess around with the shots, because you only get disappointments. And if a client is disappointed with you or your agency, she will not hire you again, because it all takes time. Okay, I will lighten up the eyes just a little bit. Let me just first go to full screen. Let me see if mixing it helps a little bit. Sometimes I like to just let a little bit of color creep through. Nah, not in this case. Now all the whites over here, in all honesty, maybe just before the photo shoot, just do a little bit like this. That really helps a lot, because if you want to take this out, you can do it, but oh man, that takes a long time. So just open up the eyes, 100%. Okay. Let's take the highlight. Let's see if we can do it with highlights. Yeah, there we go. Look at this. Awesome. Just open it up just a little bit. Not too much. Don't make it creepy. But this makes a whole lot of difference. Look at this. Now his eyes really come up to life. Nice guy. Really like it in black and white. Yep. Okay. Let me see if there are any more questions. Duke, I agree 100% about the portrait. Keep it real. Yes, keep it real, literally. If it's a portrait, keep it real. If it's a model shot, do whatever you want. Photoshop the heck out of it. Okay. Okay, a really nice lady. Love the colors. It's almost like a senior portrait. I never knew seniors until I started looking instructional videos from the US. I don't know, I don't even know if we have senior photo shoots over here. It's not a big thing like in the US, I guess. It's not my market, but I never heard any... we do have a lot of events photographers and school photographers, but I don't think the whole senior thing where somebody pays 1,500 euros and gets a lot of images. Over here, it's maybe if you pay 5 euros, they will do it, but it's that bad. Maybe add a little bit of clarity. Oh, that's too much. And in all honesty, I like the colors a little bit more up. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. Just beware of her skin tone. I think overall, don't change anything. This is just a very nice portrait for a senior. The only thing is it straight? And I'm also bad with this, by the way. I get a lot of remarks sometimes like, hey Frank, try to get your horizon straight. I tried. Okay, the only thing I would take out is this part. And you can do that very quickly in Photoshop. But overall, I love the shot. Right on the target. Really nice. Maybe this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this I would take care of on set. And this I would probably clone out a little bit nicer. But this is... yeah, this doesn't look nice. So, but that's easy fix in Photoshop. Okay, cool. Ah, there we go. I don't know who shot this, but it could be one of Ellison almost. Probably somebody else, but I really like this. This is what I mean with storytelling. This is what I mean by doing something that's different. It is too dark, so let's open it up. There we go. Don't open it up too much. Now, when I open up, I only look at my model. I don't look at anything else because I know the rest I can always make darker again. Ooh, what did she do with her eyes? Oh my god, that's awesome. Nice. This is what I call attention for detail. That's nice. I never saw that before, so I had to zoom in. Love it. Okay, let's go to Photoshop. Okay. Thank you for your live stream. You're welcome. Okay. I hope you guys have a little bit less delay now, or it's stabilized and it doesn't get any worse. I'll try to fix it next time. Okay. So what do we do with an image like this? Somehow this intrigues me. Okay. Let me start out by giving it a certain look. I don't want to spend too much time during a live broadcast with this, but these are the kinds of shots that I love to freak out with lighting, and this is light differently than what I would normally do. I would really draw the attention more to the sitter, but we can still do that in Photoshop. Look at this. This gives you that really naughty look, that runchy look, almost like a grindhouse. Cool. The arm is a little bit too hot for me, so we're gonna fix that. And this is proper lighting placement. You could use a flash more of her clothing, because it looks like she has a Harley Quinn like leggings on. And I like the flag, don't get me wrong, but I would have loved to see more of the legs here. I don't know if you guys agree, but I really think that it's too low on the picture in crop. Also, head out, of course. Now it scrolls. Okay, let me first see if Photoshop can manage that. And most of the time, Photoshop does a really cool job about it. Content aware fill is one of those artificial intelligence stuff that I do like, and that makes life so much easier. Okay, let's first do layer flatten image. You see, I make the same mistake now by pressing delete on the top layer, which only takes out the effect. Sorry, which only takes out that layer. You don't want that. I hope you guys are having fun with the Twitch and YouTube streams. We would appreciate new subscribers and whatnot more, so make sure you tell your friends about it. If you don't like it, don't. Okay. I think it also is a little bit, I don't know, it feels, no, it's good. Okay, let me see. Oh, first we're gonna try to fix the arm. Now, one of the problems you always have when you do it with curves is that it also changes the color. So you have to be aware of that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm only going to focus on the arm. I'm not going to look at the rest of the image, and I'm just going to do it like this. Now, this is not the best way, I think. There should be ways that are much better. But this is how I normally do it. Terrible. Let me go down. There we go. You can see that it's totally blown out, so that's a shame. Okay, layer mask, hide all. I'm pushing my luck. Let's see if we can now use white paint. And a big brush. Oops. Okay. You see it's too dark. And let me see if we can fix that later. It also loses a lot of the color. That's because it's totally blown out. Normally, if there's a little bit of detail there, we can still make something cool out of it. Yeah, that's too much. So don't do that. Okay. Oops. Okay, for now, good enough. And let's blend it in a little bit. There you go. Original, and this much better in my opinion. But I think for this shot we need something else. We need that hyper sharpening look, without any doubt. So let's go to Topaz Studio. And let's use that sharpening again. And I think the eye is a little bit too dark, but I'm going to do something else in a moment. I just want to experiment with something. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. Okay, add filter, precision, let's only do contrast in this case. Let's do micro contrast. Takes a long time. Okay, it should pop up when this is done. Oh, come on. There we go, look at this. Now that flag looks a lot more rough. And I think that really fits this image, wow. Okay, let's press accept. Now of course there's way too much on the skin, so normally we would do skin retouching now. But I'm gonna skip that, because that's the boring part. We use filters for. I will show you, don't worry. Let's first take it out of the skin. Now normally we use a layer mask, but I'm gonna cut some corners now. I'm sorry. So I'm just gonna use an eraser. Never do this, because with an eraser, if you make a mistake, you're done. You can go back of course, but normally don't use erasers. Okay, so which filter do I use for skin? I would have loved to tell you guys that I now use the totally new Photoshop plugin neural filter for skin retouching. And I have to be honest, it does a tremendous job on skin, but it only does the face, unless I'm missing something. So I want something over the complete image, and that's why I still use Image Normal Portraiture 3. Now, if you don't have the money for Image Normal Portraiture 3, I totally get it. It's about $200. Get Topaz Clean, I believe it's 2. And Topaz Clean does a great job. It's only like 19 or 29 euros. And it does exactly the same. The only thing is it can't do it in batch. So I have to do it over and over again. But as soon as you start using batch, that's when you start earning money with it. Because you have to do it over and over. And at that time you probably can afford Image Normal Portraiture. Okay, so I've set it up on full blast. We always call this nuclear. And the reason for this is somehow it flattens out the colors a little bit nicer. I tell this all the time, but it's important, so I have to repeat that. It flattens out the colors a little bit nicely. And because we're using a layer mask, normally, sorry, you don't have to do everything on 100%. You can still paint in there with 60 or 70%. So that works pretty well. Okay, let's do the action now. Let me see. Is it possible to display the mouse pointer while streaming? Yes, normally it is. I don't know why it doesn't do now. If you use curve adjustments layer and set blending mode to luminance, it does not affect color, correct? You can also do that. Okay, cool. Okay, now let's view 100%. And let's go for white. Okay. By the way, feel free to share tips in the chat. If you think I'm doing something a stupid way or not good enough, just let me know, because hey, I teach you guys, but it's also cool to be taught some new tricks, of course. Because nobody knows Photoshop completely. Not even the guys writing it, probably. Although I think Bert Monroy comes pretty close to knowing Photoshop by heart. And you see, by using the pen and by tilting, and by lifting it up and putting it down again, I'm actually adding to the effect. Oh, I love this, by the way. Really nice. I don't know who took this shot, but hats off. Really nice. And it's that storytelling part, you know. There's a lot wrong with the image, with lighting, but it's that storytelling part. I always tell people, if you watch a movie and the movie sucks, but you have great audio and great video, it doesn't make it a great movie. But if you have proper audio and proper video, it's doable, and the movie is kick-ass, and I don't mean the movie kick-ass, but the movie is really nice, it doesn't really matter. I can watch a movie on Laserdisc or VHS. If it's a really good movie, I don't care. but I cannot watch a bad movie in 4K. I just fall asleep. And that's the same with images. Of course, this would have been way better with different lighting for me personally. But hey, the image is strong enough. So even if you don't use it, it will still be awesome. Ah, big softbox. Okay, this looks better. Okay, really nice. Okay, now what do I want to do with this? I'm gonna tell you. Let's create a paint with light layer. This is a layer that does absolutely nothing, remember? But I want something in there. In exposure, and previously known as alien skin, there's this little option called overlays. Now the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reset everything. And I need that layer on top for the very simple reason I don't want anything in there, I just want this. And on an empty layer this doesn't work, so you need something there. So let's do a lighting effect. And let's do lighting effect. Nah, that's not hard enough. I need more. Haze-speel. No, that's too much. No, that brings me into trouble with the color. Probably you already know where I'm going. I want the thing to light up like crazy. There we go. Oh, you can't move that one? That's a shame. Okay, let's take one that we can move. Let's not stake too much. Let's just do this. Okay, I'm gonna place it where I think it needs to be. It doesn't really matter. Just press apply. It's probably way off. Takes a long time. Just to create a lens flare. Bizarre. Okay. Let's do... Nah, it doesn't show up too much. There we go. To actually need, I think, linear light. Oops. That's too much. Now, I always test my blending modes, because I don't know about you guys, but I never know which one will look best. But I think hard light comes pretty close, and otherwise linear light. I think linear light is cool. But it doesn't give me the effect that I want, so I'm going to create it myself. Okay. So let's do first things first. Let's create a new layer. There we go. Okay, first layer. First layer, we're going to do white on 100%. And you can be rough. The only thing you have to do is make sure that you're within that circle. Awesome. Okay, second one. Much bigger. And now I have to be careful that I don't hit too much on the bottom part, so I'm gonna aim it up. Okay, there we go. And the third one, that's the most important one, and the one you hardly will see. And stop. Yep. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's turn everything off. Oh, stop. Let's turn everything off first. Okay, this one, just leave it. This one, just change the opacity to 0 and then build it up. So in this case I'm starting at 50. What I want to do is I want to make sure that that part there that disappears. That side part. And it will never happen because we have to get back to this one and blur it a little bit. But those two we have to balance. And of course you don't want to blur it too much, so you just want to blur the edges. There you go. And you need that roundness a little bit. Nice. So when I take it out, you only see that when I do it in. Okay, now I can balance this one a little bit more down. There we go. And then of course this one, you already feel it coming. You turn all the way down. Literally almost on 0. And this is just your ambience light. It just wraps around. Okay, I think this looks pretty cool. And let me just go one up. And what I want to do is I want to create a little bit of a vignette around it, but I don't know yet if I want that vignette to be behind or in front of that light. So for now I'm going to do it behind. So I'm going to place the lights on top. Hey, you see I can work in layers. Okay, and of course the light is not going down because there's a table there. So I'm going to do select, modify, feather. Let's go for 500 again. Okay, select inverse. Take a paint bucket with a black paint and just drop it in. Oh, nice. And there you go. Now, do I like it on top or below? Let me change that. I don't think it will make a lot of difference. Come on. Okay, let's switch over to the mouse. Sorry. Yeah, I think on top is still better. See the difference underneath? Underneath the table you can see it a little bit. It just blends a little bit nicer on top. Yeah, I think on top is best. So I think, in all honesty, I would keep the image like this. Now, normally I don't save the images. In this case, I will make a small exception. Maybe the one who sent it in really likes it and wants it, but we'll see. Okay. Oh, even saving takes a lot of time. Come on, you can do it. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go for Lightroom again, and let's do the final ones. Okay. Same here. Crop in camera, guys. Level it. And see how much resolution you're throwing away without any need. You could have done so much more with that. And also choose your angles. And I will show you why. And I make the same mistake sometimes. A lot, by the way. If I level it like this line isn't straight. I think in this case it works because it's not that, it's enough. But when it's like this, and it's 45 degrees, sorry, 90 degrees, that's great. But if it's like this and just a little bit, that annoys the heck out of me because somehow you want to see everything level. Now in this case there's a huge difference between the bottom part, so here it's okay. But sometimes you see that the photographer tries to keep it nice, and by just a few and you can't correct that very easily. And one of the things that I found out when I do landscape photography is I never try to do anything symmetrical. Because I somehow always miss, and there's always somebody that goes like, hey, you know that there's 1 pixel more on the left. So I always shoot it intentionally asymmetrical. So when somebody goes like, hey Frank, you know you could have shot it symmetrical, right? I said, yeah, no, I shot it asymmetrical. Because when you shoot it symmetrical, everything has to fit. And that's the same with these lines. Now if this line from the bottom part would be a little bit more straight, it would fight against that line from the mirror. I hope you know what I mean, right? It has to be or like this. But if you do it a little bit like that, that's really annoying. So, or do it like this, that's okay, like here. Or really try to sit in the middle. But then you see yourself in the mirror, right? Sometimes nice, most of the times not. The other problem we have, of course, is all the junk we have to take out. And as you can already see in the mirror, this is going to be a disaster for the very simple reason you don't have enough space on the other side. But luckily, we can do something with that probably in Photoshop. I'm going to do it rough and quick. But you can do it nicer. So the first thing I have to do is take out this softbox. There we go. Okay, content aware fill. The legs, of course, too, but I'm not going to focus on that now because we are already running overtime. And I'm not really somebody who watches at the clock, but I don't want to drag this out like 3 hours, but 2 hours is a long time for you guys to stay there. Okay. Dan says, I like what you did with that one. I'll post what I did with it and some other shots from that shoot. I like the glow on the ball. Oh, that was one of your images, Dan? Then awesome shot. Okay. One moment. Okay. It takes a long time to fill. Can we fast forward this? No. Sorry. Now, some people will go like, hey, would you clone out the light? And I think this is actually where the delay starts to build up, because now I can actually see that Wirecast is literally running out of breath. So probably it adds a little bit of a delay here. Okay, this is taking a long time, guys. Sorry. Just do cancel for now. It's not smart to do retouching on the same computer as streaming, I guess. Okay, stop. In the name of love. Yeah, somehow I think Photoshop thinks, nope, you wanted content aware fill, you're gonna get it. Not even escape works. Okay. You know what? In between, I'm going to show you guys something about proper lighting techniques. Our instructional video, Essential Lighting Techniques. We'll be right back after content aware fill finished. Hey guys, my name is Frank Doorhoff and I'm a fashion celebrity photographer based in the Netherlands. But most of all, I love teaching you guys about photography. Now, what is the main ingredient of photography? The model, of course, your camera, but most of all, lighting. Photography is painting with light, telling your story with light. And photography. But still, 99% of the photographers let the lighting control them. While in essence, you as a photographer should be able to control the lighting. And that's why this video is created. It's a video about the essential lighting techniques. The lighting techniques that you should learn. How to create a white backdrop or how to create a black backdrop. How to make sure that there's still shadow in your lighting. But most of all, how about the essential lighting like Rembrandt, butterfly, feathering your light, making sure that your model is lit the correct way. In this video, we're going to do all those techniques and way more. Very simple tips about how to control your shadows. We talk about light meters. We talk about my favorite plugins. If you're a starting photographer, this is the video for you. This is where you learn everything you need to know about lighting. And after that, you can start telling your story with great lighting. If you're a professional, I'm sure there are a lot of tips in here that also help you. So enjoy our new instructional video, available now. Okay, I'm afraid by now the delays are getting terrible, so I will try to finish this. Content aware fill doesn't work, it takes way too long. What you could do with this is actually copy the things in the back. So let me point that out, because I'm afraid to do anything. And let's do, oh, come on. Okay, select, deselect. Okay, what you could do is copy this part. Oh, come on. Let's make the brush smaller. Okay. Oh. If you ever frustrated let me know in the comments below. Oh, guys, sorry. This is really unprofessional, but trust me, normally I know what I'm doing. But somehow today, it's not my day. Okay, there we go. But I keep going at it. And that's the most important thing. Never give up, never surrender. There's no plan B. Yeah, I stole that one. Okay, so what I would do is I would copy this part. And I would just clone it here and here. And maybe part here. And it will take you some time, but hey, maybe that works. And it will look convincing, and of course take that out. Overall, I like the shot. I like the effect that she's looking into the mirror. Maybe with liquify I would, and normally I don't do this, but in this case I think it will work. Okay, so I think liquify also doesn't work anymore. Oh, there we go. This is really annoying, sorry guys. So I would probably just give her a little bit of a tug over here. Not too much. Ugh. There we go. Not more. And then also make sure that you do it here. I think the model will love it when you do it. It's not really necessary, but hey. Okay, so that's what I would do with that shot. Overall, I really like it. I like the effect of the mirrors. Mirrors are always cool to work with. And also a disaster, but in this case you did very, very well. But make sure you take that out of your shot and copy everything over. And that's a lot of work. Let me just close Photoshop now. Let's do the last one in Lightroom. Okay, let me see. This is the final version. Yep. One moment. There we go. This is the final version. Ooh, love the flames. That's an awesome touch. I didn't see that in the RAW. Oh, it is in the RAW. Okay, the guy who shot this, is this really... Yeah, it is the RAW file, so... That's a brave model. Yeah. It is a RAW file, so I guess it was on fire. Nice. A ballsy move. Okay, let's open up the shadows. Yeah, even that doesn't work anymore. I just want to give you guys something cool to look at, and yeah, you get the idea. Okay, and then let's lower the highlights just a little bit. Now, color balance wise, I think you did pretty well, but in all honesty, when you want it a little bit more interesting, why not use a preset on something like this? Let's just first crop it, and let's just use one of the presets. I'll use one of my own presets. But first let me just add a little bit. Come on. I need a little bit more contrast, I think. Okay. Yeah, why not create a preset on the run? Why not? Let's go to my tone curve. Let's first take out some reds. Okay, guys, this is going so slow. I think I'm gonna try one more thing, and then I'm just gonna leave it at that. Because it takes literally over here like 5 or 10 seconds to render one simple curve movement. Okay, I would take it out a little bit that the skin tone looks a little bit more natural. Then I would go into my color grading tool, and I would literally probably bump the blues a little bit. Because although it's fire, I still find it's very cold. And I think that combination of fiery and cold can really work nicely, and especially with the highlights. Yeah, I don't see what I'm doing, guys. I'm really sorry, but this is something that you really have to be careful with, because I just don't have any control at the moment. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Just change the color a little bit to enhance that mood. Now I'm gonna stutter. So when you are looking at an image, you look at different stuff. Let me switch over to the main camera. Okay. When you look at an image, you look at different stuff. You look, of course, at colors, pose, styling. You look at a lot of things. But most of all, it has to tell a story. Like with this, with the fire, it looks really nice. He's holding something that is on fire. So you are starting to think like, hey, what's going on? What is the story behind this? By using colors, you can evoke that story. So when you look at the original one, you can actually see that the shooter chose to keep everything red. Now, in all honesty, when I look at an image like this, I'm not going like, wow. Now, in all honesty, when I go to an image like this, I also don't go wow, but at least I go a little bit more. My original idea, I just want to try it, is actually to lower the vibrance and saturation and almost go for a tinted blue look. But I have way too little control to balance this, and as soon as you don't balance this right, it looks really fake. And then just finish it up with your contrast. But then I lose a lot of detail here, so I'm just gonna try it. Let's see, it's the final image. If it doesn't work, we'll see. Okay, exposure 0, close to 0, and then just open up the shadows a lot on the bouquet, on the flowers. There you go. So I think I would do something like this, and then the flames I would probably paint in Photoshop with really nice yellow, reddish, so make it a little bit more interesting. Overall, love the shot, really great. I hope you... Oh, sorry, you didn't see that one. I'm so sorry. What I try to do is open up the shadows a little bit with the adjustment brush over here. So that's all that I did, and nothing more. And I changed the color indeed to blue. I think you guys saw that, right? Okay, so I'm so sorry for the delays. Again, this is the first time I'm doing it from home with all the computers. Normally we have one dedicated computer for streaming and then it goes fine. But I think this was just too much for this laptop. And it's an i9 with 32 gigs, so I don't know why, but hey. If you like what we do, please subscribe to our channel, leave comments below, and of course smash that like button.